सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। The page 111. Oh, before that, let us see. अव्यक्तं व्यक्तिमापन्नं मन्यन्ते मामबुद्धयः परं भावमजानन्तः ममाव्ययमनुत्तमम् नाहं प्रकाशः सर्वस्य योगमाया समावृतः मूढोऽयं नाभिजानाति लोको मामजमव्ययम्। The verse 25 that we said, second line says, Mudhoyam na vijanati lokaha. This lokaha means the common people. Mudaha because they are deluded. Mam na vijanati, they do not know me. Who is closer than the closest? And still thought to be farther than the farthest. Ishvara, the Lord, is closer than the closest because He is our own self. Here Lord Krishna describes Himself as the whole universe, meaning that I am manifest as the universe. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha prabhavaha pralayasthatha. Lord Krishna said, I am the very origin of the universe, the one that sustains the universe, the one to which the whole universe merges back. I am the one from whom the universe emerges, by whom the universe is sustained, and to whom the universe merges back. I am the cause of the universe. Same time, I am the consciousness that impels all the activities. So this is how Vedanta presents Ishvara as the maker as well as the material. The maker of the universe is Ishvara. At the same time, the material from which the universe is made also is Ishvara. He is the creator as well as the creation. In this manner, Vedanta teaches us a non-duality, Advitiyatvam. Because that all there is just one Ishvara, non-dual. Mattah parataram nanyat kinchit asti Dhananjaya. Hey Dhananjaya, here Arjuna, there is nothing other than me. The reason why Lord Krishna says this is that usually there are thought to be two causes for any creation, such as a pot. That one cause of this creation is clay from which the pot is made, that's called the material cause. Other is the pot maker who makes the clay, that is the efficient cause. The material cause is like clay is unconscious. The efficient cause, such as a pot maker, is a conscious entity. And thus the creation usually has these two causes, the maker and the material. Lord Krishna says how? As far as the creation of universe is concerned, this model doesn't apply in totality. As far as the universe is concerned, Lord Krishna says, I am both the maker as well as the material. Usually maker, such as a pot maker, is a conscious entity, different from the pot that is a creation. And that is the usual model in which other traditions also present Ishvara as the maker or creator of the universe. Except Vedanta says that Ishvara is both the maker as well as the material, meaning that all there is Ishvara. If all there is Ishvara, this should also include me, which means that ultimately the ultimate equation is that Ishvara is myself or I am Ishvara. That is the highest form of worship. The first level of worship is when Ishvara is worshipped as different from me. That's the usual way of worshipping Ishvara as different from me. That I am the Bhakta, the devotee, and he is Bhagavan, the Ishvara. It's quite all right because, of course, what is present before me is Ishvara. But ultimately, here also Lord Krishna says that worship should culminate into worshipping Ishvara as my very self. Swamiji, how can you worship yourself? If Ishvara is your own self, then who is worshipping whom? Then that worship is of the form of knowledge. Knowing that Ishvara is myself is the highest form of worship. As long as I am strongly identified with this individual body-mind complex, so long I am an individual and Ishvara or God is different from me. And so long there is duality of the worshipper and the worshipped. Ultimately, that brings about a purity of my mind, and my own perception of myself also changes as my mind becomes purified, becomes free from raga dveshas. Then my perception of myself also changes. And the culmination of this process is when I discover Ishvara as my own self. So the question is, Bhagavan, if you are the very self, how come people do not worship you as their own self? Why do they worship Ishvara in various other forms? Why is it so? So in the verse 24, Lord Krishna said, Avyaktam Vyaktimapannam Manyante Mam Abuddhaya Param Bhavam Ajanantah Mama Avyayam Anuttavam. Avyaktam Vyaktimapannam. Lord Krishna says, I am Avyakta, unmanifest, I am the infinite, the limitless. Vyaktimapannam, people think that self or I is a limited entity. Everybody takes their own self as a limited being. Vyaktim, an individual being. I take myself to be an individual person. So what is wrong with that? Isn't that right? Am I not an individual? Am I not different from the others? Am I not different from world? Are you not different from me? So knowing that way, what's wrong with that? The answer is, it depends upon what we mean by I. If by I you mean that this body, then what you say is right. If the body is I, then of course I am confined to this body, then I am an individual. And whatever is outside the body is different from me because I am confined to the body. And that is how what we call the duality of I am different, the world is different, Ishvara is different. But then that is not the reality about me. It is not that I am confined to this body. The sense of confinement comes because I take the body to be myself. I take the body as I, as a self, and then feel that I am only confined to this body. But Swami, you are you not confined to the body? Depends upon what my concept or perception of I is. If you probe into this concept of I means the self, the subject. I means the subject. There are two entities in the world, in our life. One is the subject, other is the object. So question then is, what are the boundaries of the subject, how far the subject is, and then where does the object begin? Subject means I. And I say that I am confined. You are confined to what? I am confined to the body, but the body is object. If I come to think of it, this body, I am aware of the body, therefore the body is object really. Therefore I cannot be the body, the mind also is an object, all of these are objects. So thus when I pay attention, as guided by the teacher, as guided by Vedanta, this may never occur to ourselves. When I realize that I cannot be confined to this body because body also is an object of my knowledge. The mind also is an object of my knowledge. I am the knower, the witness. The witness has no Qualification, witnessed, has no form, there is no, all forms are witnessed, all forms are seen or objectified. The one that objectifies has no form, no qualifications, no attributes, no dimensions. That's what Lord Krishna is avyaktam, unmanifest or infinite. That is what the true nature of the self is. Vyaktimapannam. But then people think abuddhaya, people who do not know. They think that the self has become vyakta. Vyakti means have become an individual, has been confined to this. That this is the nature of self, that is confined to body, mind, sense complex. Param bhavam ajanantah mama avyayam anuttamam, not knowing my param bhava, my supreme nature, ultimate nature. Avyayam anuttamam, I am avyaya, I am undecaying. Anuttamam, I am unsurpassable. I do not decay, but Swamiji, I keep on decaying. What do you mean I do not decay? Every day I am getting older. What is getting older? The body is getting older. Every day I am changing. What is changing? The body is changing, the mind is changing. And I am aware of all the changes. And the I who is aware of changes is free from all changes. So this is the problem with which we are born. And Lord Krishna says this is the case with everybody. The verse 25 says, Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavritah. Lord, you are my own self. You are of the nature of consciousness, self-revealing, and I constantly experience myself, meaning I am constantly experiencing Ishvara, the Lord, as myself. You are the closer than the closest, and how come I do not know? Yogamaya samavritah, Lord Krishna says, samavritah, samyak avritah, I am very well veiled or concealed. Because of yogamaya or avidya or ignorance. Lord Krishna says, even though I am the most intimate, the closest and the closest, the very self, and still, samavritah, samyak avritah, I am very well veiled. Call it yogamaya, call it ignorance, by the veil of ignorance, I am veiled. Mudhoyam nabhijanati lokamam ajamavyayam, that the self is ajam, unborn or birthless, avyayam, changeless, deathless. Nabhijanati, people do not know me, the very self, because we habitually take ourselves to be subject to birth. Every year we celebrate the birthday. And suddenly something was born. What was born was this body. And what do I say? I was born. So this is how we are born. By default, taking this body to be the self. Vedanta would say, we are born with the identification with the body, taking body to be myself. But I am Swamiji, I am the body, am I not? How do you say this body I am not? Now when you go to sleep, when you are dreaming, you realize that in dream you have a different body. We may or may not pay attention to ourselves in the dream, but if you pay attention to the dream, we find that I am a different person there, I have a different body there. It's not this one. Meaning that this body is not available even in dream. And when I fall asleep, meaning when I'm fast asleep, At that time I am not aware of anything at all. That time the body is not even there. So this body is known to me only as long as I am awake. This body is not available to me when I am dreaming. The story of King Janaka, who was having a vamokshi or a nap in the afternoon, having had a sumptuous lunch, and he was sleeping and fell asleep, and he started dreaming. Because of too much food perhaps in the stomach, it must be making some sound, and therefore in dream he felt he was hungry. He was hungry for 3 days and he was searching for food, could not find food anywhere. King Janaka in dream. Then he woke up. He asked his teacher, which is real? Right now, I'm so-called awake, is this real? Or that I was hungry and searching for food, was that real? Regardless of what it is, the idea is that in dream, this King Janaka experienced that he was hungry for 3 days, even though the stomach was available, the stomach full of food. And that food which is in the gross body was not available to him in the dream. All of this shows that this body, I am not, because body is not faithful to me. Body does not come with me every place, by the way. Body does not come with me when I am dreaming, when I am sleeping, is not with me. And therefore, you cannot say this body is myself, but then we still do it by default. Mudhoyam nabijanati loko mamajam avyayam. I am birthless, avyayam, I am changeless, undecaying. And Lord Krishna says, that is what I, the very self. Still people do not know me as a self. And that is why they worship Bhagavan outside. The reason why people go out and worship different devatas. Nowadays we worship different devatas. Those days they were worshipping devatas, Indra, Varuna, Agni, Vayu, etc. Each devata or god has her own jurisdiction. And they can favor us during, within that jurisdiction. Therefore, depending on what we need, we go to particular devata. Lord Krishna says infinite devata is sitting right here as a very self. People do not come to me, people go to various devatas, meaning limited entities. Even though the very limitless is here, right here as my very self, and people don't come to me. A devata is limited, therefore a devata or a god can only fulfill our limited need. And therefore, regardless of what we do and whatever we worship, we are going to get only limited. Antavatta phulam tesham tad bhavatyalpamedasam. The people of limited intellect do not realize that what they get by worshipping different devatas is limited. When I worship Surya, I worship today's devatas. When I worship Ganapati, when I worship different devatas, they certainly can bless me. But whatever they give me is going to be limited. So what's wrong with that one? But that limited thing ultimately will run out and I will need something else. That also runs out and I need something else. Thus, in spite of worshipping devatas and getting their blessing, I always remain a beggar. This is what Lord Krishna says, that people of little intellect, limited intellect, do not realize. Since they do not know me, their very self is limited, they don't come to me otherwise. Devan devajo yanti mad bhaktaha yanti mamavi. Those who worship the devatas attain the devata. You can become Indra, you can become Vayu, you can become, but that still it is limited. In our scriptures, the devata also is an appointed entity. Just as here we are appointed as an officer, there also in the scheme of the world, Indra, Varuna, Agni, Yama, all these devatas are also appointed. They perform penance in the previous lifetime, and as a result of that, they are rewarded with this positions. And they also will have the limited time. So they themselves being limited, what they can give me also is limited. Lord Krishna says a very limitless, that is, the self is right here. Devan, Devayajo Yanti, those who worship the devatas can go to the world of devatas, they can become devatas at the most. Meaning that in spite of all that worship, they still remain limited. Even though devatas are great people, they have great amount of knowledge, great amount of power, lots of siddhis, they have lot of powers are there, and still they are limited. Mad bhaktaha yanti mamapi. On the other hand, Lord Krishna says, if they worship me, the limitless, they would have attained the limitless. So how can you attain limitless? What you attain is limited. No, limitless attained by knowledge. Devatas are worshipped by way of various rituals. The Lord, that is myself, is to be worshipped by virtue of knowledge. So there the form of worship changes. When I worship Ishvara as different from me, then form of worship is karma. Meaning I perform various rituals. But the way of worshipping Ishvara as my very self is jnanam. The only way that is to know that Ishvara is myself. Mudhoyam nabhijanati lokamamajam avyayam. This mudaha, lokaha, this deluded people do not know me, their very self, because yogamaya, samavruta. Hey Bhagavan, you are my very self. Why didn't you tell me? It's amazing that he is watching everything that I am doing, is it not so? You know the story of the 10th man? This fellow is searching for the 10th man. He himself is the 10th man because he does not take himself into account. So 10th man is very self. And still that fellow doesn't say, I am the 10th man, why are you searching for me? Also, Ishvara is our own self. And this poor man, the person, Jivatma, goes around everywhere searching for happiness, searching for this. And then he doesn't say, hey, what you are searching for is myself. That would have been simple, is it not so? The self is happiness, self is limitless, self is Ishvara. If it's simply hinted, hey Swami, what you are searching for, there is I, look at me. Doesn't say that. Just watches me. I go round and round. So-called merry-go-round becomes a sorrow-go-round in my life because I am searching for something which is not where I am searching for. Mudhoyam nabhijanati lokamavajam avyayam. I am who is birthless, deathless, changeless, limitless. That very self, people just do not know me because they are convinced that what they want in life is out there. From the birth itself, we are convinced that I am a limited being. I am a lacking, wanting being. I am an unhappy being. I have to become happy. That I am a limited being. I have to become limitless. I am unhappy. I have to become happy. And therefore, I look for happiness, look for peace, look for love, look for happiness. Everywhere. Having concluded that happiness is not I, the peace is not my nature, happiness is not my nature, happiness has to be found from somewhere else. So, Lord Krishna described thus the life of all ordinary people, ignorant people. So, Lord, just as we are ignorant, are you also ignorant? Yoga Maya Samavrataha, Lord Krishna says that I am very well veiled by my Yoga Maya. But Yoga Maya means the magic of Ishvara that confounds us. That Yoga Maya, does it not confound the Lord also? The Maya makes me deluded. Does it not also cause delusion in Ishvara? Maya means that which causes delusion. So Maya causes delusion in me, the Jivatma. Doesn't the same Maya cause delusion in Ishvara also? Says no. Maya means like magic. Just as a magician is not deluded by the Maya. The magician casts a spell upon the spectators and therefore they are all under the spell of magic. Magician himself is free from that spell. He shows a piece of paper and says this is a $100 bill and people think it's a $100 bill. He knows what it is. So also Lord Krishna says, I am the master of my Maya. The Maya does not delude me. The Maya does not cover my vision. Maya does not cover my knowledge. I remain Ishvara. And so in the verse 26, Lord Krishna describes his nature as Ishvara. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani cha bhutani Mam tu vedana kaschana. Here Lord Krishna reveals himself as Ishvara. This is one verse where Lord Krishna clearly says that I am Ishvara. Although he said in many, many verses, Aham sarvasya prabhavaha mattas sarvam pravartate. I am the origin of everything, by me alone everything is impaired. And so he keeps describing himself as Ishvara. In many places. In this verse also, Lord Krishna clearly says, I am omniscient, I am sarvagnya. So omniscient. One knows the past, present and future. Veda aham sama atitani samyak atitani. Atita, that which has passed. Samatitani, which has passed very well. Vedaham, Lord Krishna says, I know everything that has gone by, that was in the past. I know everything in the past. Vartamanani cha. Vartamanam, that which is present. I know everything that is in the present. Bhavishyani cha bhutani. And also I know all the things and beings that are going to come in future. So Vedaham samatitani bhutani. I know all the entities, things and beings that are past. Vartamanani bhutani. I also know all the entities, things and beings that are in the present. Bhavishyani ja bhutani, and all the bhutani, all the things and beings that are to come. So, I know the past, I know the present, I know the future. I am Trikalajnaha. I am knower of all the three periods of time. So, I know the time and what was in the time. I know the time and what is in the time. I know the time and what will be in the time. I know everything. This is two ways. As consciousness, of course, Lord knows everything because He illumines all the knowledge. In the Mundakopanishad say, Yes Sarvajnah Sarvavit. The Lord is described as Sarvajnah, Sarvavit, Sarvajnah, knowing everything in general, Sarvavit, knowing everything in particular. For us, we know that this is the pot. And then we know that this is clay. Then further question, Swamiji, what is the volume of this pot? I don't know. Who made this pot? I don't know. When was it made? I don't know. What is its weight? I don't know. What is its cost? I don't know. Even though I claim that I know this object as a part, there are millions of things about that I do not know. There is general knowledge that this is a part, and particular knowledge of what is this weight, what is the volume, what is the cost, when was it made, we don't know. Thus, every entity has these two aspects, general and particular. So you know this, that this is gold, general, it's bangle. But there are many particular aspects of this. What is the diameter of this? What is the weight of this? What is the cost of this? When was this made? They are all particular aspects of an entity. Yes, Sarvajna, Sarvavit. So understand that a wise person also is called Sarvajna. Some of you who may have heard Vedanta for a length of time would know that a wise person is called Jivan Mukta, who is liberated even while living, is also described as Sarvajna, all-knowing. But all-knowingness of wise person is quite different from all-knowingness of Ishvara. A wise person knows this as gold, or knows this as Brahman. And this also is Brahman. This also is Brahman. This also is Brahman. Thus, he knows everything as Brahman. In that sense, he knows everything. Just as I know this as gold, and I know this as gold, and so forth and so on. Thus, I have known all the ornaments. But that is called the general knowledge. A particular knowledge I do not have. Your wise person also does not have particular knowledge. Ishvara has both. Sarvajna, Sarvavit. He knows everything in general, he knows everything in particular. Meaning he knows us. He knows this entity, everything completely. Yes, Sarvajna, Sarvavit. Lord Krishna says, I know everything in the past, everything in the present, everything in future. There is general information for us that this is how Ishvara is. Ishvara is Sarvajna. He is omniscient, he is all-knowing. And he has to be so. Then only he can create things, then only he can control things. In order for a pot maker to create this pot, he should know this pot very well. Is it not so? Even for you, for example, to create even a chapati. I say you because I don't include me in that one. Having had experience of, failure of making chapati, even failure of making khichdi, that was very simple. Mother had given instruction that in a cooker you have this much water and this much rice and this much dal, and then I thought that I knew. And what experience I had is most amazing. Then the gas was turned on. After a while, the steam started coming from the cooker. That is all that I had seen. But then slowly rice and dal also started coming. Have you ever heard this? Have you ever seen this? That's what happened to me when I first made khichdi. Dal and chokha rice also, they started coming. I've never seen this. Mother never told me this. That was the first and the last experiment of making khichdi in a cooker. So you can do something provided you know what it is. For making something or creating something, you must have knowledge and complete knowledge. So for creating the universe, the creator, the Ishvara, must have the total knowledge of what he is creating. Otherwise, in the olden days, they would start making a house, building a house. And then it looks like, break down this wall. He made it, now he says, break it down. Make something. Destroy his pillar. Because he doesn't have an idea of what the total product is, and as it goes along, he keeps, that doesn't work. The creator must know what he or she has to create. And so Ishvara, who is the creator of this universe, must know everything about the universe. He must know the past. Then only he can know the present, because present is the product of past. The present can be known only when the past is known. Do you know how much knowledge Ishvara must have? I sometimes used to describe this. That you want to make a cup of tea. The other day I went, for a lecture, and then before there was this tea time, and then I said, where does this tea come from? This kettle, Swami. Oh, you mean kettle makes tea? He said, no, Swami, it comes from the kitchen. Kitchen makes tea? No, tea was made on the gas stove, and then that's how it was filled here. Gas stove makes tea? No, Swamiji, you require a pot, and you require water, you require milk, you require tea powder, you must require sugar. In Gujarat, you require some spices. So where does the water come from? Swami, it comes from a pot. Where does it come from? It comes from tap. Where does it come from? From a water supply station. Where does it come from? From borewell. Where does it come from? From the earth. What about tea? It comes from a packet. Where does it come from? From a shop? Where does it come from? Oh, from the tea gardens? And how do they come there? How does the tea grow in the garden when you have the land, and you have the fertilizer, and then you have the rain, and you have the sunlight, and you have the air? If you thus trace the origin of the various constituents involved even in such a simple thing as tea, we find that you require the whole universe to make the tea. Is it not so? Because for something to grow in the field, you require not only soil, you require also air, you require sunlight, you require water, you require everything. And therefore, for making tea, you require the whole universe. Is it not so? So somebody must have planned long time ago that this Swami will require tea at this time. And therefore he put the petroleum in the earth, which that can be taken out and from that extracted the gasoline, from there comes the cooking gas, and from there comes this pipeline, and then that is how. So he must have thought of everything. The Swami is going to require a cup of tea at 4 p.m. on Friday on this day. For that, how much planning is required? He requires the whole universe, even to make one cup of tea. Vedaham samatitani. Everything in the universe, reveals that the Creator must be omniscient. The Creator must be omniscient. Somebody pointed out, Swamiji, I already said earlier, look at this thumbprint. Thumbprint of yours is a unique thing because nobody right now has a thumbprint identical to this. Otherwise, my thumbprint cannot become my identity. They take the thumbprint. Nowadays they take the eyes, whatever it is, but then earlier thumbprint. How does that officer expect to identify me from my thumbprint only when nobody else has a thumbprint like this? Is it not so? Nowhere in the world. Otherwise, somebody in Australia has it, somebody in New Zealand has it, then a person cannot be identified. The fact that a person can be identified from thumbprint means that that's a unique thumbprint which is nowhere right now, anywhere, in all these 7-8 billion people. Not only it is not there right now, it never was. Because they have this, data of millions of thumbprints, and all of them must be unique, and therefore nobody had a thumbprint like this. Nobody has a thumbprint like this. Nobody will have a thumbprint like this. Otherwise, in future also, you can't be identified. Therefore, one who created the thumbprint must have known all the thumbprints of everybody in the past, must know all the thumbprints of everybody in the present, and must know all the thumbprints of everybody in future. Is it not so? Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjuna bhavishyani bhutani mam tu vedana kaschana. Here Arjuna, I know what is in the present, what was in the past, what will be in future. Because the Creator requires all that knowledge. He must be omniscient. And the omniscience of the Creator is evident in every creation, just as a thumbprint. Shows that the maker of the thumbprint must be omniscient. He must know all the thumbprints of the past, all thumbprints of the present, and all thumbprints of the future. So that this remains a unique thumbprint from which this person can be identified. This goes for everything. Every leaf of a tree also is unique. There is no leaf that is identical to that, is it not? See? There are no two identical things in the creation of Ishvara. Everything is unique. Even though the twin brothers, for example, may be born 1 minute apart and still they look very similar to us, but they are unique. There are no two entities that are identical. Everything is unique and different from the others. Vedaham samatitani vartamanani cha Arjuna. Here Arjuna, I know samatitani, all that has passed by. Vartamanani, all that is in the present. Bhavishyani bhutani, and all the entities that will come in future, I know them. So that omniscience of the Lord is manifest everywhere in the creation. What is this creation? Creation is nothing but the manifestation of omniscience. Our Swami used to say, this is a manifestation of knowledge. We can go a step further and say that the manifestation of omniscience. Everything reveals the omniscience of the Creator. See, these are various ways of appreciating Ishvara. Appreciating glories of Ishvara and enjoying them, and that is how you worship Ishvara, you meditate upon Ishvara. Oh, these things are being said first to help us. While taking a walk along the, in the Gurukulam or on the trail, you look around. Everything reveals the omniscience, the omnipotence, omnipresence of Ishvara. He must be all-knowing. He must be all-powerful. He must be all-pervasive. Mam tu vedana kaschana. Lord Krishna says, it is so unfortunate that nobody knows me except a few. Even though Lord, nobody should exclude, there are a few of his bhaktas or jnanis, they know him. But Swami, you say that Lord is all this infinite. How can you even know the Lord is infinite? If Lord was different from me, we could never know him. But because Ishvara is my very self, therefore he can be known in his entirety. Therefore, the wise people know Ishvara as the very self, and that's how they know him correctly. The true knowledge of Ishvara is possible only when Ishvara is myself. Otherwise, nobody would know him truly. Ishvara is different from me. Even the great bhaktas also. The picture of Lord Krishna that a devotee called Surdas has may be different from the picture of Krishna that maybe Mirabai has. I guess every devotee bhakta has his own unique concept of Krishna, Lord Krishna. Therefore, to know him, the only way to know him correctly is to know him as the self. As long as the Lord Krishna is known as separate from me, so long he comes and goes. When he is known as myself, then alone is known without any vyavadhanam, without any interference. So Mamtu, as long as person is searching for Ishvara, elsewhere he doesn't know, when he comes to know his own self as Ishvara, that is when Lord Krishna says, he knows me. So we'll take a break at this point and come back at 11:35. Have a cup of tea, and by 11:35 please come back.